right, welcome back to another episode of the Filmoholic. We have a very special episode here. We are doing the Filmoholic Awards. Yes, we did just do that, but this is different. This is the Decade Awards. These are awards for the past 10 years, and it's going to be taking a lot of the same categories that we talked about before, but including all of the whole decade and a little bit more nominations for each category. So for most categories, we're going to have a list of 10 nominations. Some categories will only have 5. I want to go ahead and run down the categories for you guys. We have Best Picture, obviously, Best Cast Ensemble, Actor, Actress, Supporting Actress, Director, Cinematography, Visual Effects, Animated Film, and, of course, Original and Adapted Screenplay. So we're going to be going through these, giving you guys our nominations, as well as our winner afterwards, and maybe giving a little bit of commentary on the films that were nominated. Ethan, do you want to explain the how we came up with the nominations?
Yeah. All right. So we did basically on every category what the Academy does for Best Picture, which is a preferential ballot. So to get the nominations, the categories that had 10, we sent 15 nominations in. Categories that ended up with 5, we sent 10. And we just rank them in order of what we think is the best to worst on a point system. So if we have the 10 nominations, our top pick for mine, would be 10 points, 9, 8, 7, all the way down. And then we just pull all the points in to get the final nominations, and then we did the same thing all over again.
All right, that's how we got it. And I think we should start how the Academy starts, and that's with Supporting Actor. And we'll work our way through and finish up with Best Picture. So for the Supporting Actor category, obviously, like I said, we have 10 nominations, so I'm just going to go ahead and read those off for you. Our nominations included Sam Rockwell for 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. This came out in 2017. Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. J.K. Simmons, Whiplash, 2014. Leonardo DiCaprio, Django Unchained, 2012. Patrick Stewart, Logan, 2017. Michael Fassbender, 12 Years a Slave, 2013. Jared Leto, Dallas Buyers Club, 2013. Jake Gyllenhaal for Prisoners, 2013. And Daniel Bruhl for Rush, 2013?
Yeah.
Was that 13? And did I say James Franco for Spring Breakers?
No, you skipped. Not.
James Franco for Spring Breakers is our 10th nomination for 2013. What do you guys think about this list of nominations, guys? Obviously, that was our pick from all 3 of us, but
not too upset. I can't remember which ones that I had that are missing. I had to look at my list altogether. Like, this was honestly a tougher category to do than I remember.
It was probably the one of the toughest categories, I think, out of all of them, because there were so many best supporting actor possibilities out there, even including comic book films, wide range of different films. And it was different ones that I would like to have seen one, but obviously there are a few that are up there that do top the other ones. So for our winner for Best Supporting Actor, it's going to be Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
And we're going to give you the number of points too. He got a 29 out of 30 for our points. So
God damn.
Well, yeah, it was obviously he was going to win. So the next category is Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Thomasin McKenzie for Leave No Trace, as well as Jojo Rabbit. Leave No Trace came out in 2015? 2017. And Jojo Rabbit came out in 2019. We have Michelle Williams for Manchester by the Sea, 2016. Sylvia Hoeks,
I'm not sure.
Blade Runner 2049, 2017. Emma Stone, The Favorite, 2018. Rebecca Ferguson, Dr. Sleep, 2019. Viola Davis, Fences, 2016. Lupita Nyong'o, 12 Years a Slave, 2013. Margot Robbie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. And finally, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, 2019. I think this was a pretty good list too. A lot of extremely good performances in there.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned Haley Steinfeld was up on your list, but she didn't make the cut.
She did not make the cut. No, there was a few other ones in there that didn't make the cut. That was unfortunate.
Didn't make it for me.
Yeah, she didn't make the first squash for me. She got cut in preseason.
Man.
Yeah. I was like, bring the playbook, come to my office. You're cut, kid. I'm sorry.
I was happy that Thomas and McKenzie made it twice, and then Sylvia Hoeks for Blade Runner, because I think she was the best part of that movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, hands down. Like
that's a hot take there.
That's a hot take. I think she was the best acting in that movie. Watching it over and over, just like the subtle, just like little emotional things she puts out. Yeah, blows me away every time.
Yeah, I'm glad that a lot of the ones that I had up there made it into the final cut. Especially the one that I'm most happy made it in, I guess, would be Rebecca Ferguson for Doctor Sleep, because I feel like her performance this past year was extremely overlooked by the Academy, by everybody, because she gave one of the best villain performances that I've seen in years, as far as horror films go and whatnot. So, Abel, did you have something?
Oh, no, I'm good. Just tissue, that's all.
Oh, okay. The winner for Best Supporting Actress is going to be Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave. She wound up with 26 out of 30 points overall.
Pretty
good.
Yeah.
All right. The next category is going to be Best Animated Film. Ethan, do you want to read the nominees? You have the nominees?
Yeah, I've got them. So overall, we've only had 5 for this category. We had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Toy Story 3, Zootopia, Isle of Dogs, and Coco. So, a few Pixar in there, a few Disney.
I think this was a pretty solid list, too. I think the winner, when we do announce that here in a second, is a very obvious winner. I think it's hands down the best animated film, and just an extremely good film in general. I will say one that did not make the list that I'm very upset about is Toy Story 4. You guys are crazy.
It was on mine. Just not high enough, apparently.
But, these other films were really good as well. There was nothing on this list that I had less than a 4-star film. But there are some that I do think are better than the others.
Yeah, just Kubo and the Two Strings was missing for me. But I think it's very overlooked.
All right, what's our winner here?
It's got to be Spider-Man.
Yep. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, 2018. This was a extremely, I love the visuals in this movie, the animation style. This is something that I've never seen before. And I just think it was a great way to tell a comic book story, and I can't wait to see what they do next with the Spider-Verse universe, and I think that other comic book properties should look at this as an option as well. The next category is going to be Best Visual Effects. Abel, do you have these nominees?
All right. For visual effects, we have Blade Runner 2049, Doctor Strange, Inception, Avengers, Infinity War, and Gravity.
Got a good mixture of Gravity with more I guess practical visual effects. Stuff like that, but then we also got Infinity War with motion capture with Thanos and Blade Runner, obviously with everything that it's got going on with motion capture to just the futuristic angle of it. It's we got some good ones in here. I don't know how Doctor Strange made it into the cut, but
Oh yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, you know why. You know why. You know why.
all right, that's our winner.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
What? No, Doctor Strange is not the winner.
I was like, what?
Oh, I have the winner, guys. Duh.
Yeah.
Best visual effects. The winner is Blade Runner 2049, which came out in 2017. This was, and going back to animated film as well, there are 3 categories, and I'll tell the next one as well. 3 categories that got perfect scores, which means we all voted for it, and we all voted for Spider-Verse. It got a perfect score, and visual effects also got a perfect score. Which brings us to our next category, which also has a perfect score as well, and that is best cinematography. Ethan, can you rate us those nominations?
Yeah, so we've got Skyfall, Prisoners, La La Land, Ad Astra, Inception, Sicario, Arrival, The Revenant, Mad Max Fury Road, and Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Clear winner out of that. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I was happy with the nominations for this one, more than most of the categories.
Yeah, and you see a lot of the same people in there nominated multiple times. I mean, Deacon's got like a very good amount of nominations in here. I guess he's the only one that actually does. And then there was on our larger list, collective list, there was a lot of people that were nominated a couple times. Emmanuel Lubezki, great cinematographer. I mean, The Revenant, Birdman. Birdman didn't end up making the list, though. That's kind of surprising to me.
That's on me.
But, yeah, it's a pretty solid list. And the winner goes to Blade Runner 2049, cinematography by Roger Deakins.
Yeah.
And this was a perfect score, 30 out of 30. All right. The next category is Best Actor. The nominees are Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street, Hugh Jackman, Logan, Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs, Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club, James Franco for The Disaster Artist, Leonardo DiCaprio again for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler, Bradley Cooper for A Star is Born, Ryan Gosling for Blue Valentine, and Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Once again, I mean, I feel like all of these, I keep saying this, I feel like all of these were pretty good, lists, of great amount of talent. That was, looking through the best actors, it was kind of hard to narrow some of these down as well. But, there were very clear ones that were better than others. But the list as a whole, I think we got a good list here of talent. I'm not really upset that anyone was on here, personally.
No, I think for my list, most of these were on mine, at least on my 15. I think except Leonardo DiCaprio for Wolf of Wall Street. So I was happy with it overall.
He was the only one that wasn't on my list as well, but I'm not upset about it.
How the hell did he end up on the list?
Because he was high on your list.
Oh, because he was. Oh, my dumbass. Okay.
Because I know I had Leonardo DiCaprio, Ryan Gosling, and Bradley Cooper on my list. I think each 2 or 3 times each for my initial nominations.
Yeah, I know I had Ryan Gosling multiple times.
I just have a question. Y'all have Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah, we all had Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, all right, good. Just got to make sure. That's all.
All right, and the winner for Best Actor of the Decade is Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal has a total of 29 points out of 30. So, He almost had a perfect score.
What kind of Derek Jeter? Okay, what happened to that 1 point?
That's me.
That's you?
Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born was my top
Probably
choice.
you probably do that snub Derek Jeter in the Hall of Fame. Oh,
Gyllenhaal was my number 2, but I'm fine with him winning because he was definitely snubbed by the Academy for not even a nomination.
Academy can kiss my ass.
Well,
You can leave it in there, Matt. You can leave it in there. I don't give a shit if I get invited or not. They can kiss my ass.
Okay. The next category is going to be Best Actress. The nominees are Olivia Colman, The Favorite; Brie Larson, Room; Frances McDormand, Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri; Amy Adams, Arrival; Jennifer Lawrence, Silver Linings Playbook; Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story; Emma Stone for La La Land; Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird; Jessica Chastain for Zero Dark 30; and Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born. Overall, this is a pretty solid list. Not too upset about all the nominees. Very good performances. The only one that I would not – there was a couple that I wouldn't put on the list, but there's one that I definitely wouldn't put on the list. Olivia Colman, who won the Oscar that year.
Deserved.
Somehow she won it over Lady Gaga.
Well, it's just because of the voting. Because honestly, Emma Stone was the lead to me, and no, she didn't even get put in the category. So,
well, you have that a lot too, in different awards where people they'll consider something or the Oscars will consider something different. Like we know that Shia LaBeouf was considered leading actor for Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't think he was the lead in that film. And I mean, after reading the description of the film again, like at least what it says on Letterboxd and stuff, I can kind of see how they do consider him the lead. But to me, watching the film, I would consider him supporting to Zach. But
I still think she should belong in the list. So,
well,
I'm not the reason she made it.
she is on the list, but not the winner. The winner of Best Actress is one that I'm very happy to announce, and that is Brie Larson for Room. Wins Best Actress of the decade with a total of 26 out of 30 points. There were a couple other actresses that did get up there top into the 20s, but not as close as some of the other categories as far as like the points go. But yeah, Brie Larson wins it, Best Actress of the Decade, which was my number one the whole voting process. Incredible performance. I definitely hope that she takes roles like that again, and we see more performances like that from her moving forward versus more just blockbuster type films.
Actor and actress, my 1 and 2 were switched, so I'm still happy with the winners. It wasn't like my last choice.
I do want to shout out though, which I think is the second best performance of an actress, and that's Frances McDormand for Three Billboards. She did make it obviously on the list, but was not in the top as far as the voting goes. Abel. All right.
She was aight. She did her job. She was aight. Okay.
Dang. I heard you ruined Sam Rockwell's chances too.
All right. Best Cast Ensemble. Now is the next category. Abel, do you want to read us those nominees?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Best Cast Ensemble. Blade Runner 2049. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame.
Not really that surprised with these nominees, especially the Avengers films. I don't know how you cannot put them in this category, although I don't think they are personally the best of what I would have voted for. I would have voted for Three Billboards because I do think that has the best overall cast ensemble with the performances and everything. But the winner for best cast ensemble of the decade
See what I fucked up?
is Avengers Endgame.
Yes, I knew it.
With a total of now this is obviously a category that had 5 nominations instead of 10, so it's going to be less points, but it had a total of 13 points overall for the win. I will say though that 3 Billboards did come close,
As it should.
but didn't win.
I wonder why.
Yeah. All right, the next category here is Best Adapted Screenplay. Ethan, you want to read us those nominations?
All right, adapted screenplay. We've got Avengers Endgame, somehow. Logan, The Wolf of Wall Street, A Star is Born, Last Flag Flying, Silver Linings Playbook, Jojo Rabbit, The Social Network, Steve Jobs, and Before Midnight. So, not terrible for me. I'm looking over the screenplay, and for this category, you've got Richard Linklater on there twice, so I was happy about that.
Not too surprising. He's a strong screenwriter. Kind of surprised looking at this category that Aaron Sorkin only got 1 nomination, but it's more than the Oscars gave him in 2015.
Yeah.
So, or 2016 rather, for 2015 films. But
I think The Social Network, it would have made it if it wasn't for that Endgame spot.
wait, what? The Social Network is on there.
I mean, like higher up. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, damn. Yeah, Aaron Sorkin does have 2 films on there.
Yeah. Not everybody's perfect.
Just have a stroke. I'll be dead soon. But yeah, I think the best, in my personal opinion, is Silver Linings Playbook for adapted screenplay, based off my memory of it. But yeah, it had a total of 20 points. I'll just go ahead and say that, but it did not win. The winner for best adapted screenplay of the decade goes to Jojo Rabbit, written by Taika Waititi.
Damn it, man. I'm happy that I won, but I want to make some people pissed off. All right.
I think, was this one of the biggest categories where like we all had different choices altogether? As far as
Yeah, I think so, because there wasn't a lot of like large numbers. The largest, I mean, obviously was Jojo Rabbit, and that had a total of 23 points overall, which gave it the win. There was another one that did come close with a total of 22 points, and that was Steve Jobs. So it was 1 point shy of being a tie. But overall, Jojo did win. And let me go ahead and throw these out there for you too, for some numbers. The lowest rated films on our list was Avengers Endgame and The Social Network. Both of those had 12 points apiece. All right. And
You had a good run.
the next category is Best Original Screenplay.
Ooh, pissed off.
All right, Ethan, you want to read those 2?
all right, original. We've got La La Land, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Hell or High Water, Wind River, The Big Sick, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Django Unchained, Lady Bird, Marriage Story, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
One of my favorite categories, and I'm really passionate about original screenplays, but yeah, I don't know how Grand Budapest Hotel got on this list.
Hanging back off, dude.
Or really The Big Sick, but I know you're a big fan of that, Bill.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah,
You know how stressful it is with a white girl.
I wouldn't put The Big Sick, but
Which I don't know. To be fair, I wouldn't put Wind River either. But
nobody cares what you would put.
Not a bad screen. None of these are bad screenplays.
I didn't think of it on the process. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh,
All right.
Like that Taylor Sheridan and Quentin Tarantino are the only multiple nominees in this category. Unless I had a stroke too.
No, I think you're correct here. Yeah, unless there's a secret writing credit somewhere that I don't know about. I will say that I was very surprised, number wise, that Lady Bird, kind of a spoiler, it did not win. It had a total of 16 points. You guys kind of, look at that screenplay again.
I think it was about in the middle of mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm quite partial to Wind River, so it's not, it ain't topping that.
And I want to go ahead and mention too, the lowest rated film on here was Grand Budapest Hotel with a total of only 10 points.
That's your fault.
But the winner for Best Original Screenplay of the decade is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, written by Quentin Tarantino. I'll see you later, Bill.
You got nobody to blame but yourself, Bill. Like three Billboards should be the number one choice, and you just tanked it.
3 Billboards did come close. It had a total of 23 points, so it was 1 point shy away from being a tie. And then also up there at the top with a total of 22 points was Marriage Story. So it got pretty close to La La Land, which I know was your number one, Bill. And it's one of my favorite films. I don't think the screenplay is incredible enough to win Best of the Decade, but it had a total of 15 points.
You know what? It's all good. I have copies of Once Upon a Time as toilet paper, so it's all good. I was messing with you, man. I like the movie. You know I like it.
All right, Best Original Screenplay. That's it there. All right, our next category is going to be Best Director of the Decade. Bill, it's your turn to give us these nominees here.
All right, sir. All right. All right. Damn. All right. Best Director. Bradley Cooper, A Star is Born. Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Christopher Nolan, Inception. Alejandro. I'm just going to be like that. The Revenant. QT again for Django Unchained. My boy Denny V for Arrival. My uncle Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. My boy again, Denny V for Blade Runner 2049. And Alejandro for Birdman. And lastly, Damien Chazelle for La La Land.
I think this is a pretty solid list.
This category is trash.
I know you have strong opinions about it.
This is the one that I was most annoyed with. Like I said, we were talking earlier about Birdman, and I think you two definitely need to rewatch it. Don't understand it at all. What the appeal is outside the cinematography.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I sent that straight to Matt, I was just like, "What the fuck was I thinking? I needed to do." I was like, I resubmitted it. So I was like, it's too fucking late.
I think it's like a voting president process. You just like drop it in there. You can't go back and change it.
Yeah, like I was just like, I knew I could have done something, but I was just like, nah, that's just gonna take away the vibe of it. So I was like, nah, forget it.
Who would you have put in? Sorry,
I'm pretty sure my top 3 choices were snubbed completely for this category.
I want to know your choices.
I had Richard Linklater for Boyhood. Mad Max, I had George Miller.
That wasn't on either of our lists.
Yeah,
I was thinking George Miller, honestly.
Well, I appreciate you thinking about it, Bill. And then I know neither one of you watched this, why it wasn't put on there, but Chloe Zhao was completely ignored for The Writer. So after this, you guys can watch that, and then you'll know your mistakes. Completely snubbed all three of my top choices. Not even close.
The only ones, really the only one that I wouldn't have put on here personally is Denis Villeneuve for Arrival. Was definitely my bottom choice out of these 10. One of those directors that has the best filmography of this decade in general, but Arrival, it was a really good film. He did a great job directing it, but it's just not on par with the other films of his. Most of the other films of his, I think, including Blade Runner, Prisoner, Sicario. But it is better than Enemy, though. I'll give him that.
You know what?
Second best.
Grab the Astro right now.
You're insane.
Second best.
You were insane. Yeah, so I will go ahead and say this. The director with the least amount of points on here is Quentin Tarantino for Django Unchained. He got 10 points for that film, which is the lowest. But the winner for Best Director of the Decade goes to Damien Chazelle for La La Land with a total of 24 points. The next closest, so we actually had a tie for Best Director. We had two directors that both had 24 points. So let's do this live here. So to decide it, because me and Ethan talked about it earlier, but let's do this to decide it. So we had Damien Chazelle for La La Land, 24 points, and Denis Villeneuve for Blade Runner 2049, 24 points as well. So what we're going to do here to break the vote is I want to hear everyone's votes on what they vote for, and we'll determine the winner.
Oh, Blade Runner, hands down.
Well, I have La La Land at number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so Damien Chazelle is the winner for La La Land because that's my vote as well. Wins Best Director, but Denis Villeneuve did come very close to grabbing that win. The next person that would be closest would be
Probably Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, yeah. He came in third place for Inception with 18 points. And also up there under him at 17 points was Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. All right, guys.
What about your boy Tarantino?
Tarantino got 15 points for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So not too bad, but yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, at least your boy got in.
At least he got in twice, yeah.
Yeah. Somehow he got in twice.
Hey, could have been 3 times. Could have been 3 times.
Man, it's brutal.
Let's get out of the Hateful Eight that's top of my list, just so he can be in it.
Honestly, I thought about it for Best Cast Ensemble, but it didn't end up making the cut for me.
Not even in my brain for Best Cast Ensemble.
I'm with Ethan on this, man.
Jennifer Lawrence should have been in that film, but
I mean, when I'm out of melatonin, I just like pop that movie in and boom, ready to sleep.
While we're talking about it, watch the Netflix extended version.
Hell no!
I think that's how I'm going to watch it next, because I can break it up into parts then too. I can get Sarah to watch it easier that way.
That's how I watched it before Once Upon a Time when I was watching all his movies, and I thought it was better than the actual movie, just because it fills in more gaps. You learn a little bit more about each of the characters, and then watching The Snow for 15 minutes actually makes sense as a television series.
Well, is that the whole first episode?
Pretty much.
It shows that, and then it cuts to them on the carriage, and then the show's over.
It's like the first and last episode is pretty much The Snow. But
sick.
If you can get through.
I didn't know. At least it has an incredible score. So.
Yeah, it's all right.
That was the category we didn't do, actually, that I thought about doing, and I cut it out just for the sake of time. But was best score of the decade. Do you guys have any thoughts of what you would nominate for that?
That'd be that's too tough right off the bat.
Prisoners, Drive.
I'm trying to like look at my movies and see.
I know something that comes to mind for me is John Williams for The Force Awakens. I just love the score of that film, and I personally think that's his best work on Star Wars. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. Maybe it is his best work. I don't know. I have to think about that.
I don't know. Overall, I know like Blade Runner 2049 would be on my list.
That would definitely be on mine too.
Probably one on mine would be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Because Prowler's theme was just chilling.
Sicario would be on mine too. Johansson.
R.I.P.
La La Land had a really good score. Avengers has a pretty good one.
Yeah, and Infinity War and Endgame. Alan Silvestri pulled it out.
Yeah.
Marriage Story.
I don't understand what was so good about Marriage Story. The score.
I don't understand what's so good about Once Upon a Time, but yet here we are.
Get the fuck out of here.
No,
Like everybody was talking about the Marriage Story score this year, the Oscar. Like they're talking about it with award season. I just don't understand what was so good.
I'll probably throw in The Favorite, probably, or at least as consideration.
I don't remember the score for it, but Us had a really okay. So I didn't like Us, but it actually had a pretty good score. Thinking of memorable scores, Wonder Woman had a pretty memorable score.
Yeah, so did Aquaman. But...
Yeah. I see why we didn't do this category.
Yeah. All right. Were there any other categories that you would have liked to have seen us talk about?
I like best soundtrack.
Well, Once Upon a Time wins that.
I don't know that.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, like, if we were, like, limited to 5, probably. But for 10, I'll be like, all right, I have a lot to pick out of from.
Well, see, and that's another thing with soundtrack. You would have to go by what's actually released on the soundtrack, not what's in the movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of songs in Once Upon a Time that isn't a part of the official soundtrack.
Like what?
Like one is I think the scene in the airport when Leo comes back from Italy. Like I don't think that song is technically in the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's on my soundtrack.
No, see, that's where it doesn't count. But
you're talking about Out of Time by the Rolling Stones. It's on my Spotify playlist for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
But that's not in the soundtrack. Somehow, because it's like 15 to 20 seconds of the song you get to hear, but you get like 2 seconds of Mrs. Robinson by Simon & Garfunkel.
But it's on the soundtrack.
So like that would be one thing you'd have to go by what actually got released. I definitely think A Star Is Born and Spider-Verse would beat it.
Oh, yeah.
If we're doing point total.
Spider-Verse would beat Once Upon a Time?
For me, 100%.
Oh, man. Get Post Malone out of here.
Absolutely 100%. That is one of, if not my favorite soundtrack of the decade.
I'll probably go with him. I'll probably throw in like Fast and Furious soundtrack in there.
You lost me.
I just did it. You just get a reaction out of him.
But that's another thing I give the Spider-Verse over like something like Tarantino's movies is that you have to come up with like original songs. I mean, I understand like
that's how you vote. I mean, that's fine. But
like Black Panther, I'll throw it in there.
I don't know about no. You lost me on that one.
I might have put it in my 10, but
That soundtrack has one song that people know.
I know more than that.
Without looking it up.
Was The King's Dead, or what's that The King?
Yeah, what's that?
I don't know, but
that is my exact point.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out, Matt. Get the fuck out.
Like I'm putting Guardians 1 and 2 over.
King's Dead. That's what it was. I was right. So I knew 2 songs.
You weren't sure.
What about Baby Driver? That had a solid soundtrack.
Yeah.
Well, that would be like a Tarantino film too, though. Where it wasn't original stuff.
It definitely wouldn't win.
It
would be in my nominations, but it wouldn't win.
It would be in my nominations, definitely, though, for soundtrack, because, like, he wrote the film around the soundtrack of what he wanted in each scene and stuff, so.
Yeah. So
I can imagine if writing those scenes and then, like, you can't get the rights to the song. What would you do?
I'll throw in The Greatest Showman.
I'll throw it out.
I mean, if you're like a middle-aged 36-year-old mom, yeah, I can see why, because they're just having that shit on replay. But if you say like, all right, here and there, yeah.
I would throw out the entire movie.
What about Cats? Did you put that in there?
Cats is winning, 100%.
Yeah.
That and Les Mis. Les Mis will get put in there too.
What about Suicide Squad? I bet I would put that in there.
I'll go listen to Action Bronson on my own. I don't need it. But I mean, that's where I would go with soundtrack. Is I would give A Star Is Born and Spider-Verse the edge over Once Upon a Time, only because like it's so much harder to get the soundtrack because you got to write the songs to fit the movie. Like Quentin, he's got a good soundtrack, but he had a lot to choose from. Like he's not only knowledgeable in film, but he's like a big music buff too. So
he has a lot of time on his hands.
I mean, it would be in my nominations, but it wouldn't win. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's as good a soundtrack as the other two, but it would be nominations.
It would probably be my number 1 because I've listened to it so much, and I really like it. But Star Is Born would probably be my number 2, and mine would end up winning, I think, depending on how Abel would vote. But Abel spices things up with his nominations.
I do want to say while we're talking about it, I had Spider-Verse under cinematography, and it was completely snubbed. So.
It didn't get enough votes to end up making the cut. I thought it was going to. It got close, but it didn't make it in there. Personally, I still wouldn't consider that cinematography. I don't know the proper how that is with animation. I consider that more like art design or whatever it'd be like, because that's computer generated. It's or drawn. It's like it's not a shot set up with a camera. So it's not like an actual cinematographer doing it.
Well, Matt, I didn't have it on my list. Just to play devil's advocate, like in video games, it will have like cinematography. So maybe you can count it though.
Well, that's what I was trying to do though. I tried to look up.
We couldn't find one.
There wasn't a cinematographer for Spider-Verse.
And I hadn't looked it up, but I doubt any animated movie has ever been nominated. Because I'm guessing they don't have, like, there's got to be something within, like, the Cinematography's Guild or Union.
Well, I just looked up Toy Story 4.
Oh, man. Of course.
And it does, well, I chose this an animated film that I had in mind, so I looked it up. It does have cinematographers. There is actually 4 people listed, but only 2 are said director of photography, and there's 4 people listed for cinematographer for Toy Story 4.
So I mean, there's got to be one for Spider-Verse, but it's just not listed.
Yeah, so that's a little weird. There's not one listed, but yeah, I would like to learn more about that as far as cinematography for animated films go, how that works.
Well, it doesn't work for our nominations, I'll tell you that.
Nope, didn't work for our nominations. It did not make it onto the list. All right, for the last category here, guys, it's Best Picture of the Decade. What was that?
It should be fun.
All right, let me get these nominations pulled up here. Obviously, Suicide Squad is not on the list.
What?
What about Cats?
It's not.
Jigsaw.
How many Saw films came out in this decade? Was it just Jigsaw?
I think like probably 2 or 3. I think.
But how many people watched the Saw films this decade?
Well, Belle went to see Jigsaw.
You were going to see it.
I was pissed.
Don't have that patronizing tone. Probably because you had Movie Pass, though. I think that was.
I did have it, and I still didn't go.
Oh man, that's saying a lot.
All right, Best Picture. The nominees are Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, La La Land, Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, Blade Runner 2049, Marriage Story, A Star is Born, Arrival, Inside Llewyn Davis, Boyhood, and Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got your 2 nominations there for Boyhood and Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes. Well deserved. Definitely 2 you got to revisit. Because I know, I think you said you enjoyed Boyhood, but I don't think you.
I do like Boyhood. I mean, it's not bad.
I remember at one time you saying you thought it deserved to win Best Picture that year. I don't know if your opinion has changed.
I don't know. I do need to revisit it, to rewatch it. I go back and forth because with Boyhood, and this is based off my memory of it, I didn't connect with the film like you did, and I don't think to me it was that exceptional, but it was such an ambitious project that you can't like ignore that, like the fact that it was shot over 12 years, and the achievement that was. So I am happy that it did make the list of 10 of the decade. Mad Max Fury Road, probably wouldn't put that on there, but
Well, that's another one you need to revisit.
I do, because
So you fell asleep. So I don't think your
you
voice
know,
doesn't count.
it was when Star Wars came. I think it was about maybe around when Force Awakens came out. Was working at the theater, had a really long shift, got home, got some Chipotle, made about 15 minutes into the film, passed out.
Well, and you said you hadn't seen the other ones before that either.
I hadn't, and now I have.
You have to, but it definitely gives you an idea of what you're getting into.
I really like the first Mad Max.
Yeah.
The other 2,
You didn't like the second one.
I didn't like the second or third one. No.
I stand by Boyhood. Personally, being the best film of the decade. No, it doesn't have a chance of winning the award. But
it probably does have a chance because I think I kind of have it fairly high.
But Matthew's got it probably at 9th out of 10th, if I'm guessing.
And he probably has it like at 12.
Looking at the nominees, you definitely have it at 9th place.
Boyhood had a total of 17. we took points away from you.
Man, I had it at 10.
When I meant fairly high, I mean number 9. So.
Yeah, it had a total of 17 points.
Yeah.
Overall.
And the winner is Boyhood with 17 points.
And I know you said you didn't understand why Inside Llewyn Davis was on there.
I wouldn't have put it in the 10. Now, if we made a larger list, like for me, it might make the top like 25.
I don't know. I can't remember if it was in my top 15. It definitely wasn't in my top 10, but I'm not upset that it's in there because I do love the film. I believe it went down for me rating wise. I think from a 5 to a 4.5 the last time I watched it, but it's still really, really good. The screenplay is incredible. I like the directing. The cinematography is really good. That's another soundtrack that I would have nominated for Inside Llewyn Davis, and the acting is really good as well. But yeah, I do want to mention real quick before I announce the winner, the lowest film on here as far as points go is A Star is Born. It came in last place with 9 points.
Fuck.
Who did that? Whose fault is this?
Hell was you guys.
Oh well. Yeah. I'm looking back at the list. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that shit is dead last on mine.
All right, and the winner for Best Picture of the Decade goes to La La Land 2016.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. La La Land had a total of 27 points.
Gosh.
Yeah. I believe that was my second choice to win and Abel's first choice to win.
That's my fourth.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I'm not that upset, I guess. Fourth choice out of all these.
I will say that second place would have, or if we were going by second places, would have been Blade Runner 2049 with a total of 22 points.
Hey, just go ahead with the order. Just
You may go ahead and tell you all the orders? Okay.
yeah.
So at number one was La La Land, 27 points. Then we had Blade Runner with 22 points at number two. Number three would have been a tie, actually 3 and 4 would have been a tie between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Arrival, both at 17 points. And
Asserting someone.
and then next at number
was
5 would have been Marriage Story with 16 points. Number 6 would have been 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, 15 points. No, sorry guys. Let's back it up real quick.
Yeah, you gotta skip Boyhood as far as
There was a 3-way tie. Sorry, there was a 3-way tie. I don't know actually. What did I tell you earlier? Boyhood had.
You said 17. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. I thought we said something about 15 or something.
That was Mad Max had 14 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a 3-way tie between Once Upon a Time, Arrival, and Boyhood, which all had 17 points. And then Marriage Story with 16. 3 Billboards with 15 points. Mad Max with 14 points. Inside Llewyn Davis with 13 points. And in last place was A Star Is Born with 9 points.
Well, at least it wasn't the 3-way tie, because I think we all would have had different choices for first place.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, if it was are you talking about the ones that had 17 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely would have had. Bill, what would you have chosen?
For the 3-way?
Yeah.
All right, say the choices.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Arrival, and Boyhood.
Oh, dang, man. I think you sent me my check Once Upon a Time.
Oh, okay. So, unfortunately, that's not what happened. La La Land is our winner for Best Picture of the Decade.
Dang, man. I heard you to say that, like, in Once Upon a Time.
It doesn't hurt me that much though, because it was my second choice to win. So.
Who was your first?
Mad Max.
Sorry, I had a stroke.
All right, guys, that's our Filmoholic awards of the best of the decade. Thank you guys for checking it out. If you haven't checked out our Filmoholic awards, or the first annual one that came out for 2019, check that out, and we'll see you guys next time.